Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Rocket Lab Weekly of 2026. We have an almost full house. Dave G is still missing with a very good excuse. Unlike Matt, who has, since the White House incident, he has been too cool for Rocket Lab Weekly, but he is finally here. We actually found out that he was simultaneously telling Trump how to handle the Venezuelan oil and give Rocket Lab the SDA award, and that's why he ended up on the White House.
Speculations will continue. Speculation continue. But it has been nice to be back with you guys, so it's exciting. I do miss this. I fully intended last week, and then I was meeting my sister's newborn baby as well. So I was like, as much as I would love to be on Rocket Lab Weekly right now, I was like, I dedicate majority of my time on weekends to hang out with you guys. So this was the one and opportune time that I could actually see the baby. So.
Lots of new babies. How exciting.
That is a damn good excuse. So so reasons that is okay to miss Rocket Lab is meeting babies for the first time or making babies. And those are the only acceptable ones. Okay, cool. And we also have Miss Iglesias with us, who is heroically here with the cold, if I understand it. Yeah. And we have Scotto, who is heroically here from Canada. It's
while it's still Canada.
Exactly. Until what's his name gets abducted as well, and then what's the name of the current?
Carney.
Carney, exactly.
Yeah, we got plenty of oil too, guys. Matt.
There's lots of oil in Canada. Yeah. I've been looking at that too.
Mm-hmm.
We got Matt is masterminding all these moves.
Cool. So usually in the beginning of the show, we do weekly, I ask how's it going for you guys? And I'm sure that on a lot of audience mind is Matt, because we know that you work in the oil section. So how does what happened to Maduro and Trump announced that they are taking over running of Venezuela, and he wants the oil companies to take over the production. So are you moving to Venezuela anytime soon, or how does this affect you in any way, or?
No comment, I guess.
No comment. Okay. So we never know where you join the live stream from in the future.
Yeah, cool. We never know, I guess.
Okay, so how has your guys' week been so far? How is 2026 so far?
Pretty good. I also became an uncle for, I guess, the 10th time, if you include my wife's side. So it's been
that's crazy.
Plenty of excitement already in 2026. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Is it 10 from 5 kids, 1-1, or is it
No, it's 3, 3, 3, and then 1. So it's like my younger brother's first baby. So it's really exciting for him. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
No, week's been good for me. I had a nice break. It's unfortunately why I wasn't able to see you guys for 2 weeks, but things have been doing well. Obviously the stock is up, and it's nice to see the progress, and overall the portfolio is doing rather well, and entering 2026 with high ambitions as to taking this to the next level. I've been thinking a lot about where I move to, not physically, but just in terms of the portfolio, and looking forward, as obviously 2024, 2025 are pretty momentous years in terms of returns. I look out and try to think, people always poking me, Matt, you should take money off the table, and I'm not done yet. So we'll see where this goes.
Take money off the table, put money on the table.
Exactly. I don't. Every 2 weeks I buy. I don't know what these people are talking about. They're shook, as Steven Fiorillo would say.
All right, and Miss Iglesias.
My week's been great. Mostly family stuff, celebrating the holidays. The portfolio, obviously, amazing week. I thought it was really good, but as you guys know, I'm like 99.6% Rocket Lab. So pretty good. Yeah, I get the same thing from folks oftentimes, especially the wife, or are you gonna sell any so we can lock in? Like I still think that 2026 will probably be the most exciting year to come. I think we have a lot of major catalysts this year. We have a lot of great news coming up. So, like Matt, I think it's a little bit early. I think I'm gonna leave my money on the table a little bit longer.
Awesome. You and me have very similar portfolios. I'm also basically 100% Rocket Lab now, and
Yeah.
I saw Monday's market, and I was like, great, we can finish the year already. Like we had 9% in one day. I'm like, that's good for a year. But of course, I'm also not leaving the taking chips off the table. I'm trying to put chips on the table.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Okay, so let's look at what happened this week in the Rocket Lab universe. So first, we have a recap of 2025. We all know that we had 21 launches. Everything was 100% mission success. We opened Launch Complex 3. We have been there. It was amazing. Like we can attest that this has really happened. Qualified Neutron's Hungry Hippo fairing, second stage for flight. Escapade is on the way to Mars. Welcome, Geos, to the Rocket Lab family. We were awarded $860 million contract by SDA to produce more satellites and so much more. So is there anything for you guys that stands out from 2025 that you especially hold dear to your heart, other than meeting me in Launch Complex 3, of course, in Virginia?
I was going to say, I think that's everybody's highlight, is meeting each other in person. That was, I don't know. I still don't have words for that. And the fact that it landed on like episode 100 and it was in person, like that was just crazy. Like I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that was very perfect. That was cool. For me, I think obviously what stands out is that, in addition to being able to visit Rocket Lab New Zealand and signing the inside of an Electron, amazing. I still haven't received confirmation if that one's launched yet or not, so I'm hoping to reach out soon after the holidays and figure out if that one went or not. But overall, I think the thing I'm most excited about this list is the SDA contract and a little bit of the additional things that I was discussing with you offline that we'll get into later on.
Yeah, so there's some really cool things coming later in the show. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. So Mrs. Iglesias has some very interesting piece of news. Scato has an interesting update. And we have not made the 2026 predictions yet for Mrs. Iglesias and Matt. So we're going to be doing that. And then Scato will take an audience poll, and then the results will be added to this slide. So you guys will be with us also on this bet, and we're going to see how we do on this. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Cool. So let's look a little bit into 2026 now. Scato actually posted the launch manifest for 2024, 5, and 6. And I'm guessing that this is based on real numbers. And it looks really, really good. But no announcement of new launch yet in Q1.
Not yet, no. I mean, we do have that case launch. That's safe to assume it'll be like kind of literally any day. We saw it try to go off a couple times, like mid to late December. So we can assume that's January right off the bat. And just kind of looking, just kind of glancing over, I already see 5 or 6 that are, one is just a spacecraft. But already we're going to have a very busy Q1, I can see. Like probably, 5 or 6 unless something slips.
Awesome. Cool.
By the way, it's also worth mentioning, all 28 of those electrons that we see on the screen, those maybe don't land in, like, how do I say this? There's some that we know, like the exact month or maybe the exact quarter, but the number of electrons on the screen is already what's booked for 2026. So sure, some might slide out, but there's upside actually to what you see on the screen here for 2026. So that's awesome. It's gonna be a crazy year.
And how many is it? How many electrons and plus 1 neutron?
28 electrons. So I just split 7 amongst each of the quarters. And then, yeah, you can see a couple hastes in there as well.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Cool. Okay, so we go on to the next one, and I super much like this piece of news because it's how amazing our community is at tracking different Neutron parts. So this is part 1 of 3. So the Hungry Hippo fairing is currently traveling on this French, based on the flagship, and it has passed the equator now, and apparently it's 2 days and 17 hours away. And I believe that this update was maybe an hour before Rocket Lab Weekly, so it's still the correct update. Then we had this piece appear out of Maryland, or what's the name of this facility?
Yeah, I think that's Maryland. Looks like it.
Yeah. And I believe that this is the bottom module of stage 1, and you can see the fuel tank for stage 1 already integrated in this.
That's over in
And
Middle
then
River. Middle River, yeah.
Middle River, yeah. Okay, cool. And then this is the same piece being stood up, and I guess they are doing certain tests on this. And we can really see now everything happening. I wish it would be so cool if somebody could do like an animation of like showing the different rocket parts and, you know, like attaching the real life image of it to it and what is missing. Because on this picture, for example, I'm not sure that you have the engine bay or skirt or whatever it is called.
Yeah, no, I
You-
think
you
someone
don't.
did that. I think somebody hypothesized that this was like the first part of the bottom, and they superimposed it on one of the Neutron images from the website. I'm trying to find who that was, but also, I mean, shout out to Murray J. Pato and Eastern Shore Spaceflight for
sure.
keeping us posted on all these moving pieces. That's been really awesome. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can definitely visualize it. Miss Iglesias, that it definitely definitely is the bottom first stage. And you're right, Vince, it doesn't have I don't know how large it's going to be. Of course, it's hard to kind of like show, but from this picture, if you just imagine, it doesn't have the 9 Archimedes engines that would be coming off, and what you're looking at is the top. That's obviously the tank, the fuel tank that feeds the Archimedes engines. And I think you would probably have, I'm just going to rough estimate, probably another 10 feet or probably the 15 feet of Archimedes engines with another rim. And it's really cool because you can see the modularity of these things kind of coming on and how they strap onto each other, which is really cool. You can kind of see like the rims that connect. And so I'm really curious to see once all 3 of them, because I haven't seen any of them connected up to each other. I'm curious to see what it looks like when you'll have these 3 center stage 1 pieces. Obviously the one with the Hungry Hippo fairing, the other one that kind of houses the stage 2 modules, and then what'll be the kind of this tank section here, and then you'll have a small piece at the bottom for the engine. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like, you know how like Elon was always saying that FSD is next year, and then people like start to tune him out and go like, okay, it's going to be 3 years away, and then now you actually can see the videos of like people driving without like interventions, and then people are like not really clicking that, okay, like whatever he said, he was very late, but it's actually here. Like I feel like on Neutron, it's like we see literally the rocket like come together because of this fantastic community that we have, and people are still like, oh, we don't know when Neutron is going to launch, and maybe it's in 2027, it's maybe not even in 2026. And I'm like, oh, it's like so close now. I feel like you
could see it with your own eyes now. Yeah.
And because what I mean is like we have seen stage 2, like it has been if you look at the Rocket Lab website, what's the name that they use? It's been certified, or I don't remember the name that they use, but like that part exists. The Hungry Hippo exists. This one exists. We know that there is a lot of Archimedes engines being made and tested, and I'm like, other than an engine skirt, I don't know what else we are missing. And everything is moving towards Wallops. So I'm like, I think we are very, very close to a Neutron launch.
Yeah, I think we're missing that mid section. I think there's one part in the middle still. And the only reason why I'm kind of on the fence about this bottom part being a bottom part, but everything else checks out. I don't necessarily see like the legs. I guess they could attach those later. And the model on the website shows these little, they're not canards. They're these little things that go on the edge to kind of direct the rocket. But again, I guess you can add those things later on.
Yeah. So
What I
you
was
think
thinking
that-
about is like how do you get the tank inside? You know, like especially if you need to make it as modular as possible. Like, do you put? Because I know you can kind of see that not all of this is like one large piece. It's like you'll have the 3D printed pieces, and then you'll have like what it looks like to be like 3D printing on top of the pieces to make it kind of connect. And so I'm wondering if like you put it in like halfway, so you make like approximately half, and then you put on the other half, but in the middle you put the tank, or do you put the tank through the top?
Yeah, I
kinda
think
curious.
the tank's going to be suspended from the top, right? That first stage tank.
I feel like it has to be, right?
Yeah, that was the original plan. So I think there's going to be this middle section with just space for it, and then they're going to lower it from the top. At least that's what I remember from the original design discussions and from looking at the website at the way that things are kind of set up.
But I have a question. Didn't they confirm that the first stage will be 2 modules, or did they just say that it would be modular? Because I kind of understood, because now it sounds like what you're saying is the Hungry Hippo that is on the ship, and you have this one, and there will come like a module in the middle, or?
I think so. And looking at the Hungry Hippo move and in person, it didn't look like it was large enough to be just half of Neutron. I feel like there's like a centerpiece that's missing,
Yeah.
or that we haven't seen yet. I could be wrong, but
I think it might even be a mix of both, where like Vince, what you're thinking, I'm familiar with what you're thinking is like the 2 pieces that kind of click on. I think that's as it's going onto the actual launch pad. But I think in between there's like several sections that kind of click together, so to speak.
Okay, and then I saw somebody ask on Twitter, like, how come that if this is all carbon composite, like, what is the different colorings? And I think when you were in New Zealand, didn't they say that it's the age of like when it was printed?
Yeah. So the way that carbon fiber is laid down, they use an epoxy to seal it all in. And the epoxy, after some time, starts to change color depending on how long it's been exposed to the elements or to sunlight. So that's why you have the different colors. Even an electron, the way I found out is they had different electrons on the factory floor, and some of them were a little more green than others. And I asked what the color difference was, and they said, the greener ones are a little bit older. They've been out here for a little bit longer, and they change color with some time.
Okay.
So this might help. I pulled up what Murray had posted, which is specifically kind of the I guess diagram that you were referring to.
I was trying to find who that was. I guess it was Murray.
I can post it here. Yeah.
And somebody actually photoshopped, like it was actually good.
Yeah.
They photoshopped the graphics that we were just looking at, and they put it like on top of this, and they photoshopped the Hungry Hippo in here.
Mhm.
So you can kind of see stage 1 tank in here, and then the Hungry Hippo fairing, which is traveling, which doesn't have these kind of side movable wings on it, obviously for transport reasons. I'm sure they'll put it back on, but we saw it with qualifying when they did that. And then this middle section that you're kind of referring to. But down here is kind of where all the engines are. So when Murray showed the picture, there's a back end photo where you do see the bottom of the stage 1 tank, but there's no Archimedes engines or even room for them. And so, like you were kind of talking about, I don't know if that's what the tails are. I don't know if you can see maybe a little bit, you can see my cursor, but I guess you can't. But
I kind of think that middle section is what's over there in Warkworth still. They have like this black structure that has like a cylindrical structure on it. I
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
what the middle section is going to be.
We found all the pieces. And I guess that there's a fourth, because you have the Hungry Hippo, the middle section, the bottom one, and then it looks like on this picture that the engine skirt is like its own module as well, no?
Mm-hmm.
So like they can put the engines, and I guess that they just lift the module on it, and then they just connect the piping, I guess.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like it, that there's a white line on the like a little bit over the red, like where the tank is bending?
Mm-hmm.
You see that there's like a white cut. I don't know. You can't see.
Yeah, I see it.
But yeah, because maybe that one is like the bottom module. Anyways, the point is, I think that the launch is a lot closer than we think, and it's amazing to see how the community is like pinpointing it, and like we're able to track that. Oh, it's on this ship going here. You know, this came out of. I always forget the name. It must be my code. Middle River.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that was our Neutron update, and now let's. One sec. Here we go. So now we go to Scott, who has a couple of updates. I don't know if you want to start with the reaction wheel or with the other update that you.
I'll kind of do the 2-in-1. They're not huge updates, but they're just kind of, cool things to go over. Is that my screen? Are you able to see my screen? I'm getting a weird.
That's my screen. This is yours.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it was giving me some weird message. Okay, so over the weekend, I like to, at the end of each quarter, I like to kind of sleuth through a couple different websites, but Rocket Labs in particular. Just kind of looking for any numeric changes that have happened over the quarter. And I did notice a couple that took place. So they're mainly to do with the components, of course. So the first update that we have is in regards to the star trackers. So the first thing that I noticed is right away, there mentions to be 105 star trackers on orbit right now. This is up from 140 previously, which would be, I guess, the end of September. The naming conventions have also been, I guess, streamlined. So the legacy, what was previously the ST16RT2 is now just simply the STRT2, or sorry, just STRT. And that the high volume, the newer one, what was previously the ST16HV is now simply the STHV. For the STRT, the OG, the legacy model, there were 164 on orbit as of August 2024. We can gauge this by the previous data sheet. And as you can see down here, there is now, actually it's a little small. There are now 175 units on orbit as of October of 2025. So not huge. It's like a change of 11 over a 14-month period. Not, nothing to write home about, but this is the legacy star tracker. The next update is to the high volume star tracker. So what was previously 1 unit on orbit since early 2024, we now have more than 14 on orbit as of, I believe this is also, October of 2025. So again, not huge numbers, but, trending in the right direction anyway. What else do we have? The last update was to the description for the star tracker. So, I think it was just this simple mention that there are 14 units on orbit with many more awaiting launch. So I thought that was just an interesting takeaway. It seems like there have been some that have been delivered, but not on orbit yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how the STHV performs in 2026. Moving over to the reaction wheels now. Rocket Lab was long overdue for an update on their website. So this number right here, it said that there were 240 wheels on orbit performing well. That was as of November 11th of 2025. And that was updated sometime in mid-November to state now more than 1,100. So it was The 240 number, that was just somebody hadn't updated the website, because we know that there were a few more than that. And actually there's a few more than even the 1100, but we'll get to that in just a minute. For the 12 NMS wheel, as of November 11th, 2025, that's actually the description. So this has been updated to kind of reflect, I guess, a higher mass capacity for these reaction wheels. Previously, it mentioned that the 12 NMS wheel is Rocket Lab's largest wheel in production, designed for a long life and reliability, and it is ideal for high-volume constellation missions and spacecraft with masses as high as 600 to 650 kilograms. And as you can see here, the range is now between 400 and 1,000 kilograms. The new model, the 5 NMS wheel, it was previously... Oh, right, these are about to launch. Okay, so we can see here that there are several flight models already shipped to customers and awaiting launch. And this also mentions that the first flights for this bad boy are in 2026. So that's another one to watch, as well as that other star tracker. This new 5 NMS reaction wheel seems to be taking flight this year. And this is the one that we got to ask Peter about in, I was going to say in person, but in interview. And he mentioned, it was pretty clear, this isn't for a customer, this is for customers. So it's going to be exciting to see that one fly with not just one provider, but many. The final update is to the 60 NMS wheel. It was previously mentioned to be over 330 units, or no, sorry, it is now 330 units, up from what was previously 317. So not high volumes, but still pretty cool to see. But where things get really cool is if we are to factor in a certain mystery customer, we can actually see that 1100 number, that's probably from September's update to the website, or give or take September's, because realistically we're a lot higher. We're probably closer to, I mean, actually we're pretty much spot on, not including the other lower capacity models. We're probably sitting around 1300. But the interesting part is Amazon, they'll lose their FCC licensing. They need to launch at least 1,618 satellites by July 30th. And they ended 2025 with 180. So they needed to launch the 1,618. That's half of the constellation. And they're going to come nowhere close to that. I was kind of looking up the launches that they have booked. And I mean, they have Atlas V, which we can assume maybe 3 or 4 in the first half of the year, and 27 sats each. So being generous, that's 108 satellites right there. For Vulcan, that's not starting launching till the second half of the year, I'm betting. New Glenn, similar situation. Maybe they have 1 New Glenn launch in the first half of the year with Amazon satellites, but probably not. And then finally, they have launches booked for Ariane 6, but same thing. Like, we might have 1, maybe 1 in the first half of the year. So all this to say is they need to launch 1,436 satellites, and it looks like they're going to launch not even a tenth of that, with roughly 140 between those 2 launchers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Amazon, and kind of indirectly this alleged relationship between Rocket Lab and Amazon, because the way that it's currently set up is like Amazon will only be able to retain the constellation that they have as of July 30th. But of course, if they've only launched, like, not even 400 satellites, I'm sure they're just going to get an FCC extension. But it's one of those things where, like, it's, I don't know, worth kind of like having on the radar, as if that FCC license does not get extended, that could be problematic for Rocket Lab's reaction wheels, the 12 NMS, allegedly, of course. So that's
my
recent
interview with Adam Spice, where they were talking about contracted launches for Neutron. And he said, just to be clear, we do not have any contracts for launch with Amazon. I guess he didn't want to start some other speculation about us launching for Kuiper. But I think with everything that's happening in ULA and the recent plot twist of, the CEO leaving and going to work over there for Blue Origin, I don't think ULA can meet that sort of demand.
One last thing I forgot to mention. You guys might have saw this already, but the year-over-year increase from reaction wheels delivered to orbit is up 140%.
Nice.
So it's like if Amazon is able to like execute even reasonably well in terms of satellite deliveries, that number is going to go way up through 2026.
Amazing,
Nice.
amazing.
I saw a comment on here from, let's see, who was it? I think it was Francisco that said that Astroforge is also using our reaction wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's one of the customers. I don't know if we know any others for the 5NMS, but Astroforge is one of them. And I think Francisco, Astroforge, they use star trackers as well, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure you sent that to me previously.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Scotto, for this update. And Mrs. Iglesias also had quite a big update, actually, when she told us in the room. So before the live stream, so I want to give it over to you.
Yeah, let me try to share my screen, see if I can. I've never tried sharing on this platform. But before we get into that, Modbox sent me an image from, I guess, the previous investor presentation deck. That's actually very useful.
It shows the diagram, yeah.
Yeah, and I had completely forgotten about it.
That's what I was being quiet looking at.
Yeah, are you guys able to see that okay?
Yeah.
I think this really takes a lot of the speculation away. I think what we are seeing in Middle River is this structure here. And I think you're right, Vince. I think the engines will fit down here into the thrust structure. And I'm not sure that that's attached to it or not. And then this is a middle section that we kept referring to in terms of what's missing. And this is what's on the way.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see it all come together. And to your point, Vince, you were saying, you know, people are still doubting on whether or not it'll be something that happens in 2026. I'm like, I don't know. How can you doubt your own eyes? I mean, all these pieces are literally coming together. And I mean, the company hasn't even shared any of this with us. This is through all of our different, you know, online sleuths, finding all this information, taking pictures, chasing pieces down, right? So I think it's all great updates. So
sorry, where's this image from? This is from one of the earnings presentations?
The investor presentation deck.
Okay. And then it goes through and shows like each one of them. So like it'll talk about the progress specifically around the upper stage one, and then the bottom stage one, and then it'll show specifically the Hippo bearings and stage 2 tank testing, and it's really good. They lay it out really in a lot of depth in the investor deck. But the thing that I'm still trying to wrap my head around is that bottom third, like you were saying, like how that engine module, because like if you look, the thrust structure, which is the second graphic from the left, is like massive, right? And so I'm curious if that like pushes into the stage 1 tank at the bottom, if it like somehow, I don't know. It's just like, to me, how it fits is kind of crazy. Maybe because we're looking up at it and it looks so much bigger that when you put it actually next to the stage 1 tank, it really isn't all that big, because that stage 1 tank is massive. I mean, you see people standing next to it. So maybe just based off of the perspective that you're seeing with the gentleman kind of like looking up at it, and it looks a lot bigger than it is. But to me, I'm like sitting here like, is there really going to be that much additional extension to the bottom of the stage 1 tank, and or is some of that
big rocket
feed into it? It is a big rocket. I every time I see another piece like put up and the people like standing next to it, I'm like, it's big, but I mean, it's supposed to be what, 180 feet, 150 feet.
I think it's supposed to be 141 feet according to the website.
It's big. I just remember from standing there.
Just shy of 30 meters or 50 meters?
43 meters. 43 meters. Yeah, you were saying, Vince?
No, I just remember when we were in Wallops and they were like, yeah, this is like how high the rocket will go. Like when they were showing the Thunder things, and then they like, I think it was Sean Domino or someone who was showing like how high the rocket will go, and it was big.
Yeah, there's a good graphic on there that they show like the Neutron standing on top of the pad, and you're like looking down at it, and like the whole base is pretty much LC. That whole LC3 thing. Like you might have 4, 5, 6 feet around the bottom of the rocket, but it's not like you have like dozens of yards or anything that are from the edges. So it's like that base is really big.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So Mrs. Iglesias.
Oh, yeah. So let me go over this article that was out in the Motley Fool this morning. Let me see if I can figure out how to share that. Share screen. Oh, my God.
I think it's
work. Yep, it should work. Hang on. It wants me to allow things. All right. Okay. Are you guys able to see?
Yes.
Okay. So this article is in the Motley Fool this morning. And as I'm reading more through it, I'm kind of wondering if this guy is a little bit confused or if he has information that we don't have. So it talks a little bit about the big contract that we won recently, obviously, with the tranche contract and all the players that were awarded also. But it also goes into mentioning, this is something that we speculated, I think, a couple of Rocket Lab weeklies ago, where I said that I think that potentially all of the different providers are going to have to use the same sensors so that they all can communicate with each other. So this article kind of confirms that. It says that all of the providers in this contract will be using the Starlight space protection sensors, which is a product of Geost. So not only is Rocket Lab creating 18 satellites, and providing different parts for the satellites, but the article quotes it as if every single provider providing satellites in this contract is in fact going to be using these Starlight sensors from Geost. It goes on to say that, approximately 1 billion for supplying items such as payload, solar solutions, and all the other stuff that had kind of been covered. And that's how kind of I understood it when SPB came out and had that presentation afterwards, where he explained that, yeah, it's 8.16, I think. But if you look at all of the additional hardware and pieces that we're going to be selling, components to the other prime contractors, is going to be closer to 1 billion. But what this author has done is he's gone on to say that he believes that it's 1 billion in addition to the original 816 million, bringing the total potential closer to 1.8 billion. I don't know if this is accurate. I would love to see, he doesn't cite where he's getting this information from, but I would love to see somewhere where this is coming from. Because as I understood it, and maybe you guys can chime in, when SPB explained it, he explained that everything in total would be closer to 1 billion, and that included all of the other solar solutions, components, software, all the other things that were added. But because the article specifically mentions now that it's been confirmed that they will all be using Starlight sensors, I don't know if that's why this author is assuming or stating that there's going to be an additional 1 billion just from the Starlight sensors alone. That seems a little inflated. Any thoughts?
And it's only tranche 3 that's only using okay, so it's tranche 3. It doesn't have anything retroactively for tranche.
No. Yeah, he did say that earlier. The previous tranches did not require all of them to use the same ones, and I think that's something that we had read before from people complaining that they not all the satellites that were being provided by all the contractors were able to communicate effectively with each other, or it had yet to be tested, and that's why they had put this contract on hold for a while until more research was done. So I guess for this one, it looks like they determined that in the very least, they all have to have the same Starlight sensors that are created by Geost. So that's pretty big, but SPB did not mention that specifically in his presentation. So I'm wondering if there's some accuracy in this new article that just came out this morning. And for those of you wondering, right now is a good time to invest $1,000 in Rocket Lab.
So there can be a few possible explanations. The lamest one is that this author misunderstood Sir Peter Beck, and he said that this contract is 800, and with the components it can be up to 1 billion, and he understood that components 1 billion plus the contract 800 is 1.8. I hope that's not the case. One other explanation can be that this decision was made public after the SPB announcement and before the article. And then a third explanation could be that Rocket Lab historically is very, very conservative with their contracts and what they announce to investors. And we even found out, that, for example, when we asked Adam Spice on how they count the backlog, and they only count like things that have been ordered and it's impossible to like go out of them. And it can be that the 800 million is like a possible TAM for this contract if everybody chooses to do something a certain way. And then Sir Peter Beck communicated the number that he's like, I'm 100%, you can take my kidney if this is not true. Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I think that this author might be a little bit confused, because he does quote here on this paragraph, and it said it could potentially make 1 billion for supplying items such as payload, solar solutions, attitude, determination, and control components, software, and other solutions from our broad portfolio of capabilities. This is something that we already heard from Peter Beck, but he then kind of clumps them together, and he says that makes Rocket Lab's total win worth potentially closer to 1.8 billion. So I don't think SPB meant that we're going to get 1 billion just from the components. I think in total, in addition to the 816 plus all the other stuff, we were going to be closer to 1 billion. Well, what I do find interesting and probably accurate in this article is the fact that Starlight sensors have also been adopted by other prime contractors developing these satellites. And this is in quotes, but he doesn't cite where he got that information from. So, a little bit of good news with some speculation in there, but I'm happy to hear that it seems like it's been confirmed that everybody's going to be using those geo sensors.
Yeah. Cool.
I would chalk this one up to like a bit of miscommunication almost, because and I was having a conversation with somebody about this when that news first dropped with SDA, because they were under the impression that it was like I think the way that it was communicated is like Rocket Lab's building the 18 satellites and all will have the sensors on them, but that the person I was talking to, they interpreted that as like, oh, that means all of the SDA satellites. But my interpretation of that was Peter Beck was still talking about, or was talking about only the 18 satellites. But I ran a couple numbers here. Like the total number of satellites is 72, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how do I say this? If all 72 were using those sensors, now we in the past we've calculated those to be roughly $200,000 a piece. We're assuming 2 units per satellite, so $800,000 per satellite. Rocket Lab satellites, we'll back this out, but Rocket Lab satellites would be worth 14.4 million. Of course, they're not paying themselves, but all satellites, so all 72 would be 57.6 million. So subtracting out Rocket Labs leaves us with 43.2 million in addition. But there was that mention that it's expected to be as high as $1 billion for the full, the full setup. So is 816 million is what was awarded to Rocket Lab for those satellites. And then if you factor in the $43.2 million for, and again, I'd be willing to bet that only half of the they'd be using different trackers for each satellite. So maybe it's only two units per satellite instead of the 4. Either way, if it is all 4, we're still only at 860 million. So it's likely that these other providers are not only using the GEOST payloads, but other components from Rocket Lab as well. Because like even if we are assuming all of them are using all of the GEOST trackers, we're still shy of that $1 billion, like by quite a bit.
Yeah,
plenty of upside still. So, but yeah, definitely not 1.8 billion for the full get up.
All right.
That's my take.
Yeah, no, you're the numbers guy. I trust you.
Yeah, 1.8 seems high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you won the prediction game last year, so you know what you're talking about. Cool. Did you guys see this interview? I'm sorry. I need to share back my screen. That Sir Peter Beck did that came out this week with Maz O'Brien. Anything you guys want to mention about it that was like cool in it or new?
I didn't get a chance. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say I digested about half of it, but I need to listen to it again because I was multitasking.
Yes.
But the first half I digested like completely, and it was was pretty well done. I feel like there wasn't anything new per se, but it was just nice to hear it slightly in different words from different questioning, and always get something new from these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I like the one with Adam Spice better. Sorry, Scott.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah, it's definitely like a more like if you're newer to Rocket Lab, like to kind of hear their history. I definitely recommend something more to this. But one thing that did stand out from this one is Peter mentioning, if you look at all the payloads that have launched in the past 10 years and exclude things like Starlink, the average mass is 5 tons. And then he goes on to mention that they made Neutron be able to lift, or they designed Neutron with 13 tons in mind, because that's about what you need to be able to lift astronauts as well. So I know that they've been a little bit bashful in terms of humans to space, but it's like the further along that we get, it seems the more they're kind of stepping out of being like, you know what, maybe we will do the astronaut thing. I'm like, sure, there was that mention during, I think, 2022 Investor Day, where it was kind of like, yeah, maybe one day, but it kind of seems like, come on, let's just call it. We're going to launch humans on this thing eventually. So cool.
Not a capsule announcement.
Announcement, yeah. On like slide 72 or whatever of the 2022 Investor Day.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was also for me like nice to recap certain things, but there wasn't anything breaking.
I think the thing that I took away most listening to it was, and I've been doing a lot of like biographies, like I'm rereading The Philosopher in the Valley, which is Alex Karp as well, which is a founder book. And it just kind of like the background of families and how people foster their, or like encourage their kids to think differently and not like shut them down and encourage their brains to wander. Like I just think about that, and I think that hit home for me of like what Supreme Beck basically said was he had lots of dreams, and they were always kind of like encouraging those dreams rather than trying to shape or change those dreams. And you know, they said, you know, foster whatever is in your head, like take it in and really like build on it rather than shut it down to be like rockets. You know, you're in New Zealand, kid, you know, and to really go into a depth. And I thought that perspective was really cool, because we'd heard like, yeah, there's no, you know, industry in New Zealand and yada, yada, yada. I just thought it was an interesting perspective on kind of showing how it kind of manifested. So
you think he checked the rocket bike with his, you think he checked the rocket bike with his parents?
Maybe.
But I think that one he hit on the, yeah. But I agree with you. It's I mean, imagine if his parents would have been like, shut up, kid, drink your thing and do your homework. Like, stop talking about rockets. It's never going to happen. And yeah.
Right.
So
all the lives would have been changed.
Yeah. So the next one that I wanted to take up before the predictions is I've been seeing a lot of tweets like this one, you know, since Friday's rally, I no longer hold ASTS or Rocket Lab, not because they're bad companies, they're not, but at this point in the bull market, valuation and margin of safety matter a lot. I kept some of my Redwire and, you know, blah, blah, blah. After just one trading day in 2026, my portfolio is up 13% year to date. I could sit at cash at 4% for the rest of the year and still likely beat major averages by the end of the year. Then the next post, why Rocket Lab is currently overvalued using math and logic. I know this is not a popular opinion, but if it helps just one person, so be it. SpaceX plans to IPO at 1.5 trillion with revenues of 15 billion. That's a price to sales ratio of 100. And by the way, I had a good exchange with this guy because I think his numbers are very off. I think that SpaceX likely reaches a run rate of 45 billion when they IPO. So he's like conflating a past number with like a future IPO and price to sales. So I think that when SpaceX IPOs, it will be possibly, if my sources are correct, around 30, 33 price to sales, which is like, it's not cheap by any means, but it's also not a crazy valuation. Rocket Lab currently has a market cap of 40 billion and a trailing 12-month revenue of 555 million. That puts Rocket Lab at an astounding price to sales ratio of 72. Do you think a price to sales ratio of 100 or even 72 is high? Or do you think that Rocket Lab deserves almost the same price to sales ratio as the undisputed leader of a space company, which can send 200 tons to orbit cheaper than Rocket Lab can send 8 tons? Let's be honest. So I just wanted to see what your guys' viewpoint is and mine, because I feel that because I'm seeing these tweets, I'm guessing that this must be on the mind of certain Rocket Lab investors, like if we're overvalued at this price. And so I want to hear from you if we are overvalued, and if not, then why, and how do you justify not selling Rocket Lab and moving to a private island and just drinking mojitos for the rest of your life?
I love mojitos.
I'm struggling. That's what I'm struggling with.
I'll start if you guys don't mind, because I'm like the value investor here. Just kind of looking across the board, like Rocket Lab is overvalued. Like there's no way to really look at that different. Like if you're just looking at like, you know, I don't know, if you walk into the store and like you're wanting to buy item X on the shelf and it's like, you know, 5 to 10 times more than you're expecting, like you're going to just be like, oh, well, that's expensive, right? But something that I've learned to try to like integrate with my numbers is like that the human variable of just, or variables of like, what do you call them? Like greed, FOMO, like excitement, hype, whatever you want to call that.
Sentiment.
And yeah. And like, I'm realizing more and more, maybe it's like my age, or maybe it's just I've been investing for like a decade now, but there is a time and place for hype and excitement, and Rocket Lab is no stranger to that. And like as easy as it is to just look at it and be like, yeah, it's overvalued because it's like a price to sales of, we'll be generous, we'll call it a current price to sales is 63, right? And then you look at like industry averages, or maybe not industry average, but index averages, and that's like 3 to 5, even 10 is stretching. So it's easy to just look at Rocket Lab and be like, well, yeah, they're burning cash, the price to sales is high. But then you kind of cross that with like, well, what could this be in even a year? And this is like several companies in the portfolio that I hold, despite being, that value investor. It's like, yeah, there's a serious shift in many departments, whether it's like, a shift to renewable energy, whether it's a shift to like the disruption of AI and robotics, and to kind of consider the upside of that, and how I don't think people are considering just how fast these things are going to move once they start moving. Like you're seeing it already, like even 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say to my in-laws, like, hey, because they're talking about like sending their kids to like universities and colleges in 5 to 10 years. And I'm just asking, like, what does that look like for your kids? Like, seriously, like one of them is like like philosophy related. And I'm like, what after, 5 years in the future, you start school, you're in school for another 4 years. Like, what do things look like? What do they really look like? And you kind of mentioned like Chat GPT or whatever. And they're kind of like a couple of years ago, sure. Like, oh, I've tried it once or twice and it's kind of okay, but it hallucinates. And if you guys remember maybe 2 years ago, that Will Smith eating spaghetti video is just like hilarious to look at. And I remember saying to my wife, I'm like, mark it, in 1 year from now, there's going to be videos like this and they're not going to be so funny anymore. And, I saw a video today of, it was like David Bowie and Elvis and Michael Jackson, and they're all singing a song together. And I'm like, you could show this to like certain people and they'd be like, oh, crazy, they're alive, or you know what I mean? And I'll kind of end this monologue here, but like, I don't think people are factoring in how fast things are about to move over the next 5 years. And I still think it's plenty early for Rocket Lab. And sure, we might get a big pullback, like whatever, but If you look ahead even a couple of years, like, if, you know, that big SDA contract that we just got, that's the first of probably a few just in 2026. And then you look at all the launch providers who aren't able to launch. Who do you think that's going to go to? Probably ours truly, right? And that's just a couple of examples. It's going to be a landslide of excitement over the next few years. And that's like, how do you quantify that?
Yeah.
For me, yeah, sorry for dramatic pause. No, for me, I look at it like one of two things. And I think this goes back to a great conversation that Vince and I had back in Virginia Beach, you know, when we had finished kind of the LC3 thing, and it was like, what's the downside? And what potentially could the market cap value be if Neutron is not successful? And then what is the upside, right? Where are the bookends for this particular company, and trying to understand at what point, you know, if you think this is going to be a $200-300 billion company, then the price right now is something that you probably should buy, because that means you're able to pick it up for $35 billion. There's still a lot of meat potentially on the bone for the future. You know, that's the way I look at things. That's the way I try to look things out in time. And if it were to get to, let's just say, a $400-500 billion today, then yeah, I'd sell the damn stock. But it's not. You know, it's $35 billion. And you know, when I first bought the stock, I thought it could get to 25 to 50. This was 2021, keep in mind. And now, with a lot more knowledge about where the company is going and the potential of it, and so many people wanting to be involved in the industry, and the margins getting a lot better as well, which I did not think we're going to get, you know, north of 20. Now we're talking about margins potentially in the 40s and 50s. It makes you realize, okay, wow, okay, you know, 100 billion isn't too crazy, and potentially even 200 to 300 billion, depending on how crazy the satellites get, and all these other contracts that they're getting for satellites. You know, that to me is something that has opened my eyes. So, you know, if this person's a trader, go for it. If you wanted to buy a car, sell to buy some new Teslas, that's awesome, if that's what your objective was. But the thing that I encourage people to do is, like, really think this through. You know, I think people are going to get a lot of pressure to do both. Hold on to stock longer than they should, and also they're going to get pressured to sell stock earlier than they should. And they really need to ground themselves, you know, take those perspectives in, but listen to what you're doing it for, right? I'm not doing this to buy a house. I have a house. I'm doing this to potentially play, like, I'm doing it for Monopoly. Like, I think this is fun. This is my hobby. I like investing in companies. I want to be an owner in this company potentially forever, you know, as long as I see the company going in the right direction. So my time horizons for as long as I see the company heading in the right direction. And if I need money, you know, I anticipate the company will pay dividends when I actually need the money. But if I need money, I'll write some covered calls, which I've been doing very successfully, and which I'll probably stop here now that Neutron's getting much closer for a time being. But, you know, I can't answer whether or not it's an appropriate time to sell or not. I know I'm not selling because I just envision that this company has much more long runway to go, and their best potential products haven't even been thought of yet, probably. I mean, you're talking something that could be going out to 20-30 years from now and hasn't even been developed. So to me, I just see a global race towards space, and the second most launched vehicle in the world in Electron, and 2 additional revenue streams coming in with Haste and Neutron, and they haven't even gotten to the satellite piece yet. So to me, it's just too early. But my perspective is my perspective, and my perspective meets what I need alone.
I think what you're trying to say is that this is financial advice, and everybody should do what you're. No, I'm kidding. So, yeah, Ms. Iglesias.
Yeah, I think like Matt, I also see myself as a lifelong investor in this company because I really enjoy the company, whether it's at the number of shares that I have now or lesser than. My thesis has always been to continue to add and hold until we reach profitability, and I think we're pretty close within the next year or two. But aside from that, everybody's gonna do whatever they're gonna do with their money. If, like Matt said, if your goal is to get yourself a new car and now you have the means to do that, then if that brings you joy, then do it. For me, I do see myself as being proud to be a part of this company, like in terms of ownership. What makes it easy for me to own this company is something that I've always said is that I don't see the level of transparency that we get from SPV and his team in other companies, and I've owned other companies. And you may get some information during earnings reports, or you may reach out to investor relations, and they may or may not respond. But to have the transparency that we have with the team, and to be able to have that level of being able to reach out to them and ask questions, or even come on your show, Vince, and ask our and answer our questions, and it's just very transparent. So I don't see. Sure, some are going to say that you could take the money out of this and put it into something else that may give you more growth, but may is a big maybe for me. If I have it in something that I know is a for sure thing, and I have 100% trust in that this is a for sure thing, then why would I seek out greener pastures? That's just my point of view. And like Matt said, if you need to take out some money against it, maybe some options, or if you're not familiar with options, maybe an S block loan to hold you over. But in the long run, I intend on keeping all of my shares, or most of them, until we reach profitability, unless something comes up that I need to sell for. But I have full faith.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, my viewpoint on if Rocket Lab is overvalued or not, like if you look at traditional metrics, yes, it's very overvalued, but you also have to look at, like, okay, in the price to sales, like what gives you the price to sales? It's the launch part of the company and the space systems of the company. And if you look in the future of the company, what is by far the most value going to come from is going to come from the constellation. And like as Matt said, like me and him talked about, like you also have to think, like if you would try to build a company like Rocket Lab that has a medium launch vehicle with no space systems, it would be about 10 to 20 billion dollars, like just that part of the company. So I think that looking at the price to sales is not the correct metric at the stage where the company is. And if you believe that Rocket Lab is only a launch company and only a space systems company, and they're never going to do anything more, then yes, the stock is very overvalued and you shouldn't own it and you should probably sell it. But if you believe that it has a great future, they're going to have many constellations, and it's going to turn into a $200 to $500 billion company, which I do believe is going to happen, obviously not next year, then the price is very reasonable at this point. Of course, what I would recommend is to, have less expenses than income, and if the stock goes down, you can buy heavier, and just make sure you buy every month until you're happy with your position. But yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and to Scott's point about valuation, and for the technical numbers people that always want to talk about price to sales, I think there definitely has been, a lot of science to the market and how to evaluate companies. But the other thing that Scott mentioned is sentiment. And I think what we have seen in at least the last 5 years is that a lot of these names are very sentiment driven. I mean, you talk to a lot of people and they will tell you, yeah, Tesla's overvalued or Amazon's overvalued. Because we're also pricing in potential, right? And Amazon's literally taking over the world, whether it's their servers, whether it's pharmacy, whether you name it, Tesla is in it. I mean, not Tesla, Amazon. So I think the same thing with Rocket Lab is we're also pricing in potentials and a lot of the unknowns, as you mentioned, the constellation that's coming up, all of those things. So I think sentiment-driven stocks like Rocket Lab, if you want to say they're overvalued by the numbers, yeah, sure, maybe. But I think now there's a lot of value in what sentiment or how people feel about them, or what people are projecting that they're going to do in the future. And I think that's what we're seeing with Rocket Lab.
I think another piece to put is these are very long wavelength projects that take 4 years, even at rapid pace. Most of these things take 10 years plus to really to come to fruition. Think ULA, Vulcan rocket, things like that. And so I think we're so used to the software side of things where Google is able to make a new feature that immediately shows up in the next quarter's earnings, and that's just not the case here. So people need to kind of take this with a long-term mindset. And yeah, there's potential where you could swing trade it and things like that, but as always, think about it for your perspective. If you're 80 years old and you need dividend income, Rocket Lab's probably not the stock for you. So you kind of need to look about how it fits into your portfolio and if it's right. And I completely understand where people might be coming from with respect to the valuation piece. I get it, but I like to think of it like, what's the difference between 20 and $35 billion? Is not a lot when you're talking about the potential for it to get to 300, or some people are even talking $1 trillion market caps now with SpaceX getting down that path. So I'm not 100% at the $1 trillion mark yet, but I'm at a couple $100 billion. I mean, that makes a lot of sense for what we've seen today and what the potential is.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think for those of us that have been holding the stock since like VACQ, yeah, it was overvalued at 20, but I held through that. It was overvalued at 30, at 35, at 40, at 50. It's been overvalued for a long time, and it'll probably be overvalued at 100. But like you said, Matt, I think there's a lot of things still coming, so I look forward to those things.
Cool. A lot of wise words. So now let's go over to the prediction section where it's just a fun game that we play on Rocket Lab Weekly. So I'm going to collect the numbers from you guys, and also you can suggest questions if you want to be added, where we can make predictions. So how many launches do you think, including Neutron, we will have in 2026? And you can see mine and Scott's answer.
I think for me, only because if we're following a pattern here, I think this year we saw 5 more launches than last year. The previous year we saw 4 more launches. The previous to that, I think it was 4 more launches. So based on that pattern alone, I'm going to say 26 launches.
All right. You are the most bearish so far.
It's not bearish. It's not conservative.
Yeah. No problem. And Matt?
52.
I'm going to choose 31.
Yeah.
31.
Oh, I didn't even see Scott. It's right behind my camera. And then see Scott with 30.
Yeah. No problem. Okay, so which month of the year does Neutron launch in? We were horribly wrong on this last year. We all thought it was like June, September 2025.
I kind of agree with Scott a little bit. I think end of August, early September.
Okay, end of August / early September. And you, Mr. Matt?
I will do April.
Wow.
April. Wow. Okay, cool. How far does the first Neutron launch go? Clear Tower, Max Q orbit. Oh yeah, we left this from last year because we never had the launch, so it's only Mrs. Iglesias who we miss here.
All right, what do we have here? Re-entry, semi-successful splashdown, successful splashdown, orbit, off nominal landing. Well,
it's fine to have the same as.
In the words of Peter Beck, anything, we're not going to call it a success if it just clears the tower, right? I'm going to go for the full 9 yards. I'm going to go with the launch, clears the tower, clears max Q, enters orbit, and successful splashdown. I'm going to go with fully successful based on what they're anticipating.
Okay, so there's 1 that has.
Was that you?
Yeah, it's me and Scott. So the question is, do you think that it's so successful that they will be able to land on a barge next, like they will already try that? Or do you think that it's like they land, but they will still need to launch one more time to like without a barge, just to like get more data?
Well, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm very optimistic. I'm gonna go with you, Vince.
Okay, good. We take that. Cool. Which quarter do we get the MTO contract?
No. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with third quarter.
All right. Matt?
I'll do third quarter as well. I like that timing. Otto over here being super bullish, but I guess Jared Eisman coming in.
Yeah.
Feeling good, man. Feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how many Neutron launches will Rocket Lab sell in 2026?
I think
It's not launching, it's selling.
Contracts. They already had. Did they say they already have 4? Is that what I remember correctly?
I think so, yeah.
I think they say that. So in addition to those 4,
the fourth was, I think, a ride share or something like that.
No, it's like 2.5. We got 2 dedicated, and then 1 is the ride share, and then we have like Venus, which is kind of in house. So
okay, I think they sell an additional 6.
All right, Mr. Matt.
These are good numbers. Yeah, 10 I think is bullish. I'm thinking once you get the first launch up, I think people are going to start to kind of come in, but it's obviously going to take time. I'm going with 5. Yeah. My thought process is like you're going to probably get a hole with the whole move of SDA2, Tranche 2 launches and everything like that potentially being awarded. You know, you have a lot of those. So anyway, I'll go with 5.
You know, I'm thinking I'm not bullish enough because, like, I think that it will be block launches, like, you know, like how you have on the. So I don't think it will be like 10 announcements. I think it can be that we sold 5 launches to this customer and 6 to this customer.
I think they have reiterated that that's what they're going for, not just one-offs, but actual like whole blocks of them.
Yeah, but we're going to see. We're going to see. Cool. Will there be an acquisition in 2026?
I'm going to say yes also. I'm going to say I would like to see 2. Only mostly because of Adam Spice's recent comments going into 2026. They said that they have a very robust pipeline. So looking forward to that.
Cool. Matt, we assume that you're a yes, and Dave also we assume. But,
definitely yes. I don't know if I'm pushed 2. I'll just keep it. It could be 3. You never know.
All right. So should I write 2 for you, or just leave it at yes?
Leave it at yes. Yeah.
Okay. So here's a cool one. How many interviews will we do with Sir Peter Beck and Adam Spice? And we did 2 last year, including the Wallops.
In 26.
In 26.
I think as SPB is getting busier and busier. I mean, I'm hoping for at least 2. I think I really enjoyed watching him on your show and being able to come on here and answer the questions of retail investors. So yeah, I would hope at least 2.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Sir Matt.
I'm gonna under promise and over deliver with 2.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be great if we can get 4, like 1 for each earnings call.
Yeah. Believe me.
I mean, you think about it last year, even though we didn't necessarily get a third quarter earnings call one, which would be the last of the year, because the fourth quarter obviously ends up being in February. We were able to talk to them in September. So
yeah.
or
I was gonna say We didn't get 4 for the lack of trying. We didn't not get 4 for the lack of trying. It was the schedules or Cool. So here's one that we were horribly off on last year, and it's just funny. Which basically shows that you can't time the market.
I would have been horribly off on it too. Like I would have thought 2025 would have ended at like $35.
Yeah, that was basically our guesses also. What's your guess for this year?
End of 2026. Where are we at now? Like $76? Is that what we were at?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say $115.
All right.
I'm gonna be conservative, and again, these numbers are life changing.
Yeah.
Like I would have never thought, that within the years that we've been investing, that we would have been where we're at right now. So, it's great.
125.
All right. By the way, Matt, like last year, you got extra points because I think I was like 30, Scotto was like 32, Dave was like 31, and then you were like, what? We were going to end at 45. And I remember we were on the show and we're like, how's Matt thinking? Like, that's like such a crazy valuation. And then we ended at 70, but you were the closest. So we were like, even the guy who we thought was a crazy bull, he was like almost 50% off.
Yeah.
So how many haze launches do you guys think in 2026?
How many do we have total this year, Scott?
3 this year.
Just 3?
Yeah.
I would have thought more. I'm gonna say 9.
All right.
Yeah, I think we start to see haze accelerate a little bit more.
Yeah.
I agree with Scott. I'm going 7.
Nice.
7. All right. Okay, and the last one. Does Rocket Lab announce their constellation plans in 2026?
No. I think this happens in 2027. I think the whole mantra of the crawl, walk, run, and focusing all on Neutron will be this year in addition to whatever else is currently in the works. I think it's too early.
All right. Matt?
I want to lean with you, Miss Iglesias, and say it would be 1Q or 2Q27, but I think it's dependent upon how successful the first launch goes. So if like the first launch goes like without a hitch, like to orbit, no problems, then maybe we might see something. But I feel like that's just by the time we actually get a launch in, it'll be second quarter, maybe third quarter. And I think that you just have so much additional work to potentially get the second and then land it.
Yeah, why does my no have
back and forth? I'm gonna say no.
Yeah. My no has an exclamation part, like I screamed it. No,
never.
Okay, I give it to Matt also. Okay,
very negative. No,
I'll take it away. Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you guys think that there should be any extra questions?
No, I think.
How many more kids does Vince have in 2026?
I think that portfolio is pretty full currently.
Yeah.
Cool. Then I think this is all that I had for this episode, unless you guys want to say something. But yeah.
No, I just want to say the content generation from everybody just giving news, taking pictures, like it just is so phenomenal. And it's really made my life easier because I think a lot of people, there were so few people talking about the company with a $2 billion market cap valuation and nobody cared. It seemed like it was just like you couldn't find anybody to even believe you that it was it launches rockets, right? The people were like, are you sure they're not CGI? They're making these live streams fake. And so to have you guys, like, please keep it up because it allows me to not had to pound the table as much on something like Rocket Lab and just put it, I don't want to say put it in coast mode, because obviously I'm still here. I'm still looking at it on a quarterly basis, and it's my largest position. But it allows me to like take a step back because I no longer have to do as much deep DD as I once did. And you guys are just coming out with such better content than I could have ever done. So please keep going. I love it. I'm sure that the employees love it as well, like seeing that value being spread across the globe, and I'm sure it gives them the passion to keep going.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most surprising things when we did the launch complex grand opening, was to hear a lot of their engineers say, hey, you know, we follow, like somebody said to Dave, hey, I follow your channel, or I listen to you guys all the time. I didn't expect that. I don't know why. I just figured they were busy building rockets. But, and, you know, I would find it probably as an employee maybe frustrating to hear, you know, random people speculate on what's going on. But no, they seem to be really enjoying that and entertained in the very least. Somebody posted in the chat one more prediction that we should do, and I found that an interesting one. Will Rocket Lab have a launch party for retail investors or investors, just like they did, you know, a couple of years ago when they did Investor Day? Do we think that Rocket Lab will have a launch party where they will invite investors?
I thought that party was what they did in Wallops, because we had them on an interview, and we asked about if there will be like a retail party for a Neutron launch, and then Sir Peter Beck was basically saying that like launch day is very annoying for them for many reasons to begin with, and he will probably be throwing up in a toilet somewhere, and then on top of the launch, like to like babysit people to not go to certain places on the pad and get blown up. And so I thought that they, like, the opening of the pad was like this middle ground where, you know, like we could be there and meet them and party, and but
yeah, I guess it makes sense. We could have our own private one.
Exactly. Will there be a Neutron launch party in 2026? Should I add like private? No, we can, in the answer we can say private or okay. I'm gonna say no, maybe a private. Okay, so we can start with Miss Iglesias. What do you think?
What you said makes sense. What you said makes absolute sense. Maybe it doesn't happen like on launch day. Maybe I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say it'll be like a pre-launch party where, you know, we can meet up a day or two before the launch, or maybe even post-launch, pre or post-launch. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, pre/post.
It's mostly wishful thinking. Any Rocket Lab? I mean, wishful thinking, please.
if there was a reason, like Rocket Lab says, you know, that we guys can show you something, and, you know, come to this place on the planet, I would like sit on the plane tomorrow, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, same here.
and meet you guys again. It would be amazing. So I'm also hoping there will be something. Scotto, what do you think?
Oh, I'm on because when the question was first asked, I'm like, no, like definitely not. But the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, they're like, I know that. Well, I mean, it was on X. I know that Tim Dodd is heading there once Neutron is stacked to do like a complex tour. But I'm wondering, like, what do you guys think about the scope? Like, is like, so obviously there'd be some people coming to the pad, but are we talking like a couple hundred people? Or are we talking like as small as 25? Like, what are we considering a party?
I don't know. Maybe what we saw over at the opening of the Launch Complex 3, maybe?
If I'm not there, it's not a party. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
I'll go with no. I think there'll be like tours and stuff, but nothing as large as like the LC3 opening.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt?
I'm also going to go with no. I think, if anything, there'll be an investor day in 2027 that would allow us to meet up again. And likely that'll be a combination of what's next with Neutron, future contracts, future developments in the space systems space, as well as the satellite. more formal announcement, which could be pulled into 26. But I just based off my previous answer, I think it'll more likely be 27. And to be fair, I don't want to distract the team from executing. I'd much rather them come up with these things at pace. So I would rather it be in 27 after a successful launch.
Yeah, that's also for me because I'm like, the wallops, it was taking time for Sir Peter Beck. I mean, it took like a whole day from him, and I'm like, as much as I love to be with him, we kind of need him for our investment to work. He needs to not be spending time with us and be designing rockets or satellites or whatever he thinks is good for the company.
Yeah, I think whatever the case may be, I think we should all definitely, if we can swing it, plan on meeting out there for the launch and maybe doing a live stream from on location somewhere where you can see, kind of like what Tim Dodd does, right? Where you can see the rocket in the distance.
Would be amazing. Would be amazing.
Okay, and just a reminder to the audience, I've posted polls on my X, so go vote, and I'll be sure to add that to the tracker for us to go over this time next year.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone. Fantastic episode, and may your sky stays blue and your stock stay green. Miss Iglesias and me, I hope we get well by next week, and see you guys again. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.